All right, welcome back to the Golf Podcast. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about because we got to dig into some news that's come out about the TGL Tigers League that's going to be launching in January. There's some exciting news around that. We also want to look ahead at the PGA Tour schedule a little bit. I feel like if nothing else, we're kind of feeling like we're going to hit a little bit of a lull. I'll tell you why, but it's not going to be very long-lived because there's a lot of exciting golf behind that. So we're going to talk about that. And we got to check in on some of Rory's comments. And this is something that's funny. It was on the tip of my tongue anyway. I wanted to get your vibe after watching the Travelers, what you thought about TPC River Highlands. And Rory had some words about it that I think weigh in on this. So I want to dive into that. And of course, got to talk about it's just so great to see like Ricky back in the hunt.
Ricky's hot.
Keegan. I feel like we're back in 2014 all over
good.
Again, right?
The Golf Boys era.
It's Golf Boys era. But it was great to see that win from Keegan. You know, he's more or less a local guy from the Boston area, winning in Connecticut. So that was a big one. But before we dig into all that, I want to give you guys a quick update. We talked about it and we launched it last week on the show. Our Golficity Indoor Open, which is going to be on September 30th at Golf Zone in West Nyack, New York. Guys, exciting. We've got a lot of registrations came in.
Where are we at?
I think we're at about 37 registrations.
What I'm
going to say is we just announced it last week. The spots are filling up quick. So make sure if you want to participate, I know it's not until September 30th, but you got to register in advance. And here's why. The place is huge. We picked the biggest place we could find. They got 22 simulators.
Yeah.
We've kind of run the math. We can put 3 people in a simulator. We can do 4 if needed, but foursomes can get a little bit more cumbersome in the simulator. We like the flow of 3. If we put 3 in a sim, we can get 66 people out.
I love that. That would be ideal.
On 22 simulators, which is going to be a sight to see. People playing golf simultaneously on 22
on the
simulators.
most realistic simulators, nonetheless.
Live leaderboards,
so cool.
prizes. So definitely get registered. If you're able to make it, register for your spot because I don't want anybody to be able to have to miss out on
I wanted to hit on some of the comments of people. They're traveling far. I get it. But to help you guys out with location, this place is about 45 minutes, not even, probably 30 minutes outside the city. Yeah. But I would think like a 2-hour drive for this is ideal from Albany, New York, Stamford, Connecticut. I mean, wherever you are, I think, you can make the day there. We're going to be there all day into the evening. So if you want to get in the car for a couple-hour ride, it'll be worth it because I think it's going to be an epic event.
Well, that's the other thing. You bring up a good point. Don't feel pressure to play either. If you don't want to play in the tournament, you just want to come for the hang, just come.
Cool.
The registration, it's $25 per person to play. But otherwise, it's a huge place. There's a restaurant there. You can order food. There's a bar there. You can order drinks. So if you want to just come and hang and watch, by all means, show up. That you don't need to register for. So if you want to if you're making a last minute decision, if you're just available that day, just come on down. But if you want to play, you do have to register in advance because we are going to put together all the tee sheet basically. And we're going to try to group as many similar handicaps together as we can. We will have the Peoria system. So ultimately it doesn't matter like where your place as far as that goes, but we want to put some similar ability levels together just so it flows a little bit better in the sims. So just don't miss it. Like I said, I know it's going to fill up quick.
You know what I thought of? How cool, and this might actually happen, is if we have a 2 or 3 person playoff and we have to go and everyone's just filtered around one sim.
How sick would that be?
It would be pretty epic. And like we said, we're also going to line up hopefully a nice trophy, something, and a ton of prizes. So guys, put it on the calendar. Yeah, please.
Don't miss it. Go to golficity.com/register. We'll talk about it more in coming episodes as we get closer. We'll give you guys updates on how big the field has grown to, but we're excited for that one. Now, switching gears and just talking about the tournament last week. I got to get your opinion on this, Mike. We've been to TPC River Highlands. We've played the course. We've been there for the Travelers before. It's I wouldn't call it in our backyard, but it's not far from us here. I feel like there's 2 ways to think about this. The idea is I'm watching it and I'm watching these guys go super, super low, 25 under, things like that. It was a full-on birdie festival. Do you feel like there's a spot in the PGA Tour's schedule for this? Do you feel like they should play a course where they're just it's the go low show? Or do you feel like you want to. It's just too low for a PGA Tour event. They need a little bit of a tougher course because Rory did sound off on it, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I want to get your take.
Okay,
on
well,
it.
let me ask. I'll answer it with a question right back at you. Do you enjoy the 59 watch?
The thing is, what I do enjoy a 59 watch. I don't know if I enjoy a predictable 59 watch.
A predictable. Which
I feel like
you're almost
every Travelers.
Yeah, because the course is an easier setup.
And every Travelers, there's somebody who's on a 59 watch.
But for me, so I guess to answer it, I think 1,000% the tour needs a stop like this. I don't think there's any other stop on the tour where guys go this low. And I think it's a place like after you're coming from the hardest testing golf to the easiest testing golf for the most part. So I say yes to the Travelers because I love it. I mean, you went low on that back nine. I mean, it was ridiculous. Yeah. You know, I mean, and it's now a fun course to play.
And we weren't playing PGA Tour tees or pins.
No, but all relative. But I mean, yeah.
It is. But that's the thing. For me, it's like, I love a good 59 watch when it comes out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden, like rare. You see Twitter's exploding and somebody at some tournament
it's almost impossible
having a day. Yes.
On any other stop.
But like, I feel like with this, like you just know, it's almost as predictable as with an upcoming U.S. Open, you're going to get your social feed is going to be filled with people dropping the ball in the rough, which we've done it too. I get it. Everyone wants to see it. As predictable as that is, you're going to have predictably somebody on 59 watch or multiple guys on 59 watch at the Travelers.
Yes.
And there's part of me that's like, where I like the Birdie Festival and you see a course like this that these guys can just absolutely beat up, is I feel like it gives a little bit of perspective in its contrast to how hard the setups are for the majors.
Yes.
So when we see the guys like when they were, in New York earlier and we had the PGA and stuff like that, and we're looking at like guys who are just hoping to get in under par. This contrasted against that just kind of shows how hard that course is. Because if you eliminated all the easier courses, would we not have that same perspective is my question.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. I guess it's up to like your thoughts about, how exciting it could be. I think there's a lot of people out there who enjoy the guys going low. And there's a lot of people on the week before who enjoy the guys getting beat up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a tough call, and I want you guys to weigh in the comments and let us know what you think as well, because it could be personal preference. There's also, to a certain extent, I'd be lying if I didn't say like it does get a little bit redundant for me to have the same every year, same TPC River Highlands, same kind of go low scores. My question is, why not? Maybe it's time for some fresh air. Maybe it's time to take the Travelers and just move it to somewhere else in the area. Like, I'm thinking about TPC Boston. You want to keep in the TPCs? TPC Boston. TPC Boston was part of the FedEx Cup. It's not right now.
Right.
It's not getting the same play. Or is there another course in the Northeast, in Connecticut, in Massachusetts that's just not getting, seen? Yeah. And could be an opportunity here just because I just feel like a bit of Groundhog's Day when it comes to the TPC River Highlands.
Yeah, no, it's no doubt. It's definitely, I don't know if they'll ever switch it. I don't know if the relationship between Travelers and the TPC. I don't know if that umbrella green is permanently there. No, I know.
They put that out there.
I know. But
I'd say the Travelers, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Does the Travelers have a relationship with TPC River Highlands? Otherwise, not that I'm aware of. TPC, it's a PGA Tour course. It's a TPC course.
It's a TPC course, but it was there when we went in 2017. It's been there a long time. So the relationship is strong. I don't know if it's like a 10-year thing or whatever, but
maybe there's an
it's
agreement.
tight.
What I'm saying is that as a fan, I like to see it. Let's mix it up. Let's move it around. Okay. Let's go see, the Travelers could be a TPC Boston if you want to keep it in the TPC series. And that's not far from where it is right now. It's like a 2-hour drive.
Right.
Or like I said, there's other courses that we can move it into.
Yeah.
A little bit of info here. The Travelers companies, the largest office is in Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
So that's probably
they're keeping it close
connection.
So it's a home game for them.
Yep.
But what I'm saying is, I think there are other home games that you could look into.
Yeah.
But let's get into Rory's comments. So Rory was in the hunt. He fell off a little bit and didn't quite make it there, but he was pouring in the birdies on Sunday too, like everybody else. I think he made 4 or 5 in a row as I was watching it. It's almost like at TPC River Highlands, birdies are pars. Like you have to make birdie at some point. It's not just like run of the leaderboard. Like if you don't make birdies, you're falling down that leaderboard. But he said and this is Rory's quote, I don't particularly like when a tournament is like this. Unfortunately, technology has passed this course by, right? It's sort of made it obsolete, especially as soft as it's been with a little bit of rain that we had. So what Rory is getting into here, and his quote says, like the conversations going back to limiting the golf ball and stuff like that, we come to courses like this and they don't present a challenge to us like they used to. Now, here again, like, okay, there's 2 plays you could make, or 3 plays. One, leave it as is, and if as fans, we're comfortable with, as we started this conversation, the birdie fest, for the reasons of the enjoyability of watching these guys just make birdie after birdie, or the contrast shows how difficult truly the other courses are. Because as of right now, and my own take, I think we should continue all playing with the same ball.
Yep.
You played with the same ball last week at LA Country Club. The course was the differentiating factor.
Right, of course. Yep.
So the options are leave everything alone, let these guys have some certain courses where they just are on 59 watch. Change the course. Maybe if a course becomes something that's just too easy, like I said, maybe move it to TPC Boston, something like that.
Right.
Or third, for certain courses where the course itself can't be made hard enough and they are specific to wanting to play that course, do they give them a different ball to play?
But also,
out of the 3 options, I'm not loving the third.
Yeah, I'm not loving the third.
For the U.S. Open, people were talking about the course and it just not being long enough or whatever. I don't necessarily know the specifics on the U.S. Open, but if they had a more limited flight ball for the U.S. Open, would that have brought the scores down and made things more exciting?
That's the claim they're going to make. They're going to say a limited flight ball would mean that these guys are going to be hitting longer irons and those types of clubs into these long par 4s. Remember how long the par 4s were?
525.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
But I'll go back to this over and over again. Look at, what was it, the 15th hole? They had it playing at 80 yards.
Yep.
And it was giving guys a tough time. I think that we are way too tunnel visioned with this length thing.
Yeah.
I think that there are ways to make golf courses harder and more strategic and more
Start with the greens. Yeah.
There's ways you can do it. And it's incredible to me. Like you and I, we've been
Pinehurst number 3. Case in point.
Right. We've been playing some tough courses lately, especially filming our road to Pine Valley.
Yes.
I want to see bring a tournament back to Plainfield.
Yep.
Donald Ross, those tough greens that are out there.
Totally.
That's almost major like feels, I think there are still plenty of options course wise that we don't have to start taking the same course and now applying a different ball. And I think it gets confusing for the fans. I think it gets frustrating for the players. I think either just embrace and be comfortable with it being a birdie fest or find a different venue.
That's true. I like it. What do you think with all this technology? You think we'll ever see a 57 out there?
I think the course would have to be a conditionally perfect, and it would have to be set up so easy. But
because Furyk only got 58, right?
58, but didn't we see a 57 on the Corn Ferry? I think there was a 57 on the Corn Ferry,
and they play from same yardages as the pro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of the courses aren't as difficult, but but regardless. So that was Rory's comments, and interested to hear in too. You guys can comment on this below as well. What your general take is on Rory? I think. Some people, Twitter was mixed this morning on it, and some people were getting a little bit, as they say, this is not my words, but people are getting a little bit tired of Rory seemingly voicing a complaint about everything nowadays. It seems like Rory's got a comment on everything. Yeah. I don't know if I'm fully buy into that. I think Rory's been a good, steady voice on the game in general, but here is a spot where I respectfully disagree with him. I think, like I said, see and do some audience polling and see just, or even look at the ratings on it.
Yeah,
were the ratings down because it was a birdie fest? Because now it was an elevated event. It was a designated event.
Yeah, it was.
There was a huge field.
Yeah, Key got a bag.
And you had the big names are in the hunt. So look at those ratings. I'll be interested when they come out. Less people tune in because it was a birdie fest? If they didn't. Maybe there's room for one on the schedule.
Maybe there is.
If there's not, I would first thing to do to look towards changing the venue. But speaking of a birdie fest, Scotty Scheffler, right? This guy's unbelievable. I'm looking at some of his stats, right? He is always in the hunt.
Always.
We talk about this, about the differentiator for the best players is that they always find a way to play and score.
Mm-hmm.
He's starting to give me like Tiger vibes. Now he's not winning as much as Tiger did in Tiger's most epic run.
Sure.
But the Tiger vibes is that Tiger never missed the cut and was always there on Sunday.
Mhm.
He was always in the conversation. Scotty's like that right now.
Yeah.
He's always in some sort of room where he can make a move and he could be the top of the leaderboard on Sunday.
And
Definitely.
Let's be real. This is only the second season, really, that
It is.
Scotty's like on the map. You
Yeah.
know, like
He
give
could
him
keep
some
running.
more time. He could end up like I could see him doing Tiger-esque things over the next 15, 20 years. Like, you know, if he dials everything in, he's going to be just a monster.
If
come
Scotty-
10 years from
Consistency.
100%.
Yeah.
If Scotty can stay healthy and consistent and continue to do this,
Just get
he
his
will
putter.
be one of the all-time.
Just get his putter in order too.
Yeah,
Forget that. If
But
he gets-
but listen to some of these stats on the season so far. First in strokes gained off the tee. First in approach to the green. First in tee to green. First in strokes gained total. Unbelievable. On top of that,
Jeez.
just looking at his season that he's had so far, I'm going to pull up, let's see, results. Scotty this year, he's got 2 wins. It's great.
Mhm.
14 top 10s.
Jeez.
I think I had heard that he had made now 13 straight top 12s, and it's translated into a ton of money. He's made $18.5 million this year
Wow.
in official money so far this year. That's from just being in the hunt all the time.
So
Everything is a T12 or better.
It's safe to take the top 10 finish bet on DraftKings for Scotty every week.
Yeah.
You
At
might
some
as well.
point, I can't even imagine. You're probably not making much.
You're probably not.
You're probably not making much on that bet. You're probably making your money back.
Yeah.
Because, like, who's betting against Scotty at this point?
Yeah. Right.
But now, so the other thing I wanted to tell you was, like, take a look now at the schedule. This is where I say a little bit of a lull. So, as we've been talking about here on the pod, has been the how aggressive the schedule's been for the top guys, and how even Rory missing some of these designated events, and it's been major and designated event like seemingly every week. We now do not have another designated event until the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Well, the Open, but that
Right, but I'm talking about PGA Tour
designated events.
right,
Yes.
not majors.
Wow. So they're done with the old 3.6 million of the winter events.
So
Those are
you've
done.
got the Rocket Mortgage Classic, the John Deere, the Barbasol, the Genesis Scottish Open, the Barracuda Championship. Then you have the Open. Then you've got the 3M Open, the Wyndham Championship. And all of these are set, other than leave the Open Championship out. That's not even like a PGA Tour event,
Yep.
right? All the rest of these are anywhere from $5 to $9 million purses.
Okay.
We don't see the $20 million purse again until the FedEx St. Jude Championship.
Wow.
So did they front load these like
It
almost
seems that
incorrectly? Like,
almost
should they have
seems that
spaced
way.
it out more?
That's what I'm saying. It almost seems that way. If I'm looking back at the schedule, these guys were getting tired. They're flying
Maybe
all
this
over
is
the
their break
country.
before the playoffs.
I mean, you're going to have
Your only break.
defending champs who are going to come back and play.
Mhm.
But I do wonder what kind of field we will see at some of these events coming up.
Yeah.
The tour in general is still so strong. You're never going to have a full field event of guys who are not household names.
Mhm.
There's always going to be some household names in the thing. Next week, we've got some big names there. It's
I'm
not
sure
an
guys-
elevated event, but like Tony Finau's the
Ricky's always at the
defending-
Rocket.
But that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think,
Mhm.
would you put money on it? Is the Rocket Mortgage
where he breaks
where
it.
he wins it?
It's the storyline that, the best storyline you can have. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Guy got his Rocket Mortgage on his sleeve.
He's got Rocket Mortgage on his sleeve, and Ricky has been knocking on the door every week, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's back in the hunt, and now it's not a designated event. It won't have the same full force of field. I think Ricky might get his win next week.
I wouldn't bet against that. Actually, you got me like tickling the keypad over here with the DraftKings.
I know.
That's
I
a good
almost wanna
bet.
Throw a couple bucks.
I
on
think
it.
I might have to.
We're gonna have to see what his odds come off at. But you got the Rocket Mortgage, then you got the John Deere, the Barbasol. A lot of guys will Barbasol is the alternate event with the Genesis.
Mhm.
A lot of guys will go over to the Genesis to start preparing for the Open Championship. The Barracuda is the alternate field for the Open Championship. But I think what you're going to see right now, talk about a little bit of a lull. Yeah, Ricky will be a good story. But a lot of these smaller purses, less known events, and alternate field events, I think you'll see the whole thing quiet down a little bit before the Open Championship. It comes roaring back. The Open Championship.
That's going to be an exciting
And then
one.
after that, we've got just 2 events, the 3M Open and the Wyndham, before we kick off the playoffs. And then right after the playoffs, we've got the Ryder Cup coming up. So we still got a lot of exciting golf, but it can't help but feel like Zach was saying, it was a little bit front loaded on the designated events.
It may
feel like we've got a little bit of a wind down that might lose people's attention.
It might, but you'll see.
And I'm
the
talking about
fields.
general audience, not like guys like us who diehards are watching every week no matter what.
Yeah, the fields will pick up though. You'll see guys like the RSM big names in it because these are guys who are still fighting to get in.
Yeah.
The playoffs, they're fighting to get, like, some guys fighting to get tour cards. But what's such an interesting thing, speaking of Rory, speaking of the Open, I was away last week and there's a guy at the pool and he noticed one of my shirts. I forget which one, but it was a golf related shirt. And he's like, "You watching the Travelers?" And he had this Irish brogue, you know. And I was like, "Are you from Ireland?" He goes, "I am." And I was like, "How's Rory doing?" We were talking, and he goes, "You mark my words right now. He is going to win the Open. I'm gonna go. He's going to it. He's like, he's gonna win the Open. This is his year to do it." I'm like, if there's ever a sign for a gambling bet, I told my wife, I'm like, I'm gonna go put money on Rory right now to win the Open.
Also, it's a smart bet. I mean, at the end of the
really
day,
smart
Rory too, he's been playing.
I feel like this is the one he's gonna, because I feel like he's knocking, but he just can't close. If there's ever one, it's going to be this one, but we'll see.
He's going to have to get through Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah,
that's for sure. All right, let's take a break there. Let's do a quick and Cam Smith. You're right. Let's do a quick word from our sponsors. Then I want to come back in a second. I want to talk about this new news with Tiger, which I think is big news for his new league, the Tiger and Rory's TGL League, which is going to be launching. And I actually want to talk to you guys real quick about my own experience. I got fit for the new T-Series irons just last week. Incredible fitting experience. I want to dig into that just a little bit. So let's do a word from our sponsors, then we'll come right back and do that. All right, the hours have been put in, the work has been done, and as the moment approaches, you either fear it or you feel it. For Titleist, it's a moment filled with pure anticipation, the culmination of a relentless pursuit of speed in every form. So step up and settle in with confidence. Titleist TSR is here. That's right, guys. The new TSR drivers, they take everything that make the TSI the #1 driver on tour and pack even more performance into every single head. So you've got new face technologies, CG improvements, and new aerodynamic refinements. When everything moves the needle, you're playing at Titleist speed. So go to Titleist.com, learn more about the TSR metals, and most importantly, schedule your fitting today. It's Titleist TSR. Find your faster.
At FootJoy, the #1 shoe in golf, they offer the widest selection of sizes, styles, and performance options of any golf shoe out there on the market. Some of our favorites recently have been those Wilcoxes, those Premier Wilcoxes, the Hyperflex Carbon, which stays hot. I see a lot more people wearing them.
You're going to see a lot of it in the upcoming Myrtle Beach series.
Yes, you are. That's for sure. And you can't not throw love towards the fuels. I like the pink and blue colorways, the blue. So the colors that FootJoy are coming out with these shoes, they're just so different. They're unique. Like you said, we rocked them all through Myrtle Beach. Trust the brand that's been #1 forever, guys. Trust your game to FootJoy, the #1 shoe in golf. And big thanks to Rapsodo. The MLM2 Pro is the golf device that you all need to take a look at. One of my favorite features of this device, other than the insane simulators that they have in it, which we've talked about, and the powerful stats you get, but are these combines. And it's a way to practice smarter and more efficiently. You know, quantify your driving and approach play skills. You're able to hone in on some shots, some yardages that you're not comfortable with. So the combines is a really unique way. Instead of just getting in there on the range and banging a couple balls or playing golf simulation, it's a way to be challenged to make your golf game better. And we've done combines a bunch of times. We're going to be doing them again. I think it's a smart way to practice.
I love that it benchmarks too your improvement.
Yep.
You know, we're going to the range, everybody's grinding, and sometimes our only benchmark is next time we get on the course and what did we shoot that day? Well, there's all factors too. There's conditions, there's things like that. Yeah. Just having the combine that you can come back to and see, you know, is what I'm working on working or not is really important. So get in there, guys. Try the combine if you got the MLM2 Pro. Also, you can do it with the original MLM, but the nice thing about the MLM2 Pro, you can do combines indoors now.
I love it, yeah.
So if you're or into a net. So if you want to work into your backyard, things like that, go and take those combines, check it out, and stay tuned for more from us. We're going to be doing the combines again really soon, posting our scores. So go and check it out. Go to rapsodo.com. Check out the new MLM2 Pro and the original MLM. You're definitely going to want to try combines this month. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, so this is interesting. Coming out of TGL, now this is the league that Tiger and Rory are putting together. It's going to be an arena-based, so it's going to be a little non-traditional in that way. It's going to be an indoor, like simulation type of league from what we're understanding. It's going to kick off in January. Now, one thing you will say is for all the turmoil that we've had with Live for this year, and now the merger and people up in the air, like what's going on, whatever, this is undeniable whether you're pro or anti-live. One thing that we can all agree on, and nobody can kind of deny at this point, is the influence that it's had on this, and one being the team. So the team aspect came in, and you could argue whether or not in its time before this merger it was successful in practice or just in concept with the teams. One part of what Liv wanted to do was have team owners and people buy in eventually to the teams. Well, we're now seeing that in TGL. So the owners of Boston Red Sox are investing in a team in the TGL.
Did they say how much?
It doesn't disclose here. It's just Fenway Sports Group. They own several major sports franchisers. So Boston Red Sox, Liverpool Football Club, the Pittsburgh Penguins
Might be smart.
are all owned by them. So they know the value in investing in teams. So what we do know so far for the TGL is that it's going to be a league of 6 teams, and each team will have 3 PGA Tour players. They're going to go head-to-head match play in this arena in Palm Beach, Florida. So now what we found is that the same owners of the Boston Red Sox have invested in one of these teams. So they're going to be owners in one of these teams.
So now, they must know what the potential purses are going to be. Otherwise,
they must know.
Okay.
There's a lot more that are known, I'm sure, by the investors. There's also some big heavyweight investors in this league. You got Shaquille O'Neal, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Lewis Hamilton, Alex Morgan, all big athletes, big name athletes who've invested. So whereas we didn't see that on the live side, at least not yet, the investment was not yet coming from these types of people. It's more coming from the Saudi fund.
Yep.
It's now investments clearly pouring into this TGL. And we now have the first like team owner.
That's wild.
Which makes me think that will now set a market and set a price to some extent, even though it's not disclosed here.
Yeah.
I would imagine that the other 5 remaining teams might get scooped up pretty quick.
I would think so.
It's like real estate. You know,
right.
Once someone buys a house on the block, we now know what the value is on the block, more or less.
And they must know. So you said behind the scenes what the teams are.
Well, what we know is that there are guys who've committed. That they're going to be
know
playing.
The list of names.
Justin Thomas, John Rahm, Morikawa, Adam Scott, Justin Rose, Ricky Fowler. Big names that drive a lot of attention.
Sure.
Who's on what team yet? I haven't seen that information.
Right.
So we can only speculate. And how much team owners will drive that? Will it be like baseball where team owners are out there with their GMs and basically selecting guys and setting salaries? I don't know.
Do you think this will ultimately get people over the whole indoor golf?
I think indoor golf will have, and I've said this before, it's going to have a huge boom.
I believe it, but there are people out there who don't.
I think this is going to help turn a lot of people over the corner.
I don't think Tiger would attach his name to something unless he knew 100% that it was going to work and be super successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think
he could probably fund it.
A very interesting thing for fandom and viewership. Because one thing, it's a good argument. And I've always thought this myself, like when you attend a golf event, there's some really great parts of it, seeing it in person.
Yeah.
But there's also some deficiencies. Like you walk around like the thing on your ear so you can hear, or you like are watching on your phone while you're watching it. Because the way the sport is laid out, it's not like in an arena. Mm-hmm. Like we're not watching all the action all the time. You're missing when you're at a golf event, you're missing a lot of the action.
Right.
Well, here now in an arena, you catch every bit of the action because it's right there in front of you. Mm-hmm. And I think we're seeing a lot of advancement in technology in indoor golf. And this is part of why we're doing our own indoor tournament in September. We believe and see that it's becoming, the lines getting blurred more and more between the golf indoor and outdoor because the technology is coming along. And we're already seeing this in places like South Korea, where they're having professional indoor golf leagues. They there are limited on the number of golf courses that they have, and they've come up with this way of playing golf indoors. And now we had the conversation earlier about TPC River Highlands and stuff like that. Well, now this might be new venues and new ways that they could do it. But I think we won't know until we see it and we see those ratings come in. Are people interested? Will they watch? But this is, no matter what, this bodes well for Tiger and Rory in their league, that they've got investors willing to chalk up the money and buy a team.
Totally.
Kind of sight unseen, because we haven't seen the product yet.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go in and completely shake up the entire indoor golf landscape. Like, I could so see them having a giant bunker in this stadium.
Yeah.
And like the guys actually hitting out of bunkers and like actually hitting out of thick, like, roughs. Like, they have layers of sod.
I was wondering what the technology was even going to be here. Like, are they going to go TrackMans? Like, there's only certain simulator
and I don't think anybody knows. But I wouldn't be surprised if they revolutionize everything when it comes to the indoor
custom
space
for that
before this even happens.
Right.
It would be wild.
Right. And then do places like this then open up to the public.
Yeah.
Like how you have the TPC courses that are PGA Tour courses that we can go play. Will you have these indoor facilities that you can book a tee time and play? I don't know, but I think the writing's on the wall that, like, what they're definitely doing is they're leveraging the branding of the individual players. That's the key to the success of this is those guys. And the fact that you've got Tiger and Ricky and Justin and, Rory McIlroy, that people are going to tune in to see them do anything.
But I could also see it be a total flop. I could see it become a total flop.
There's a chance. Anything new, people are like,
but I think where they're hedging their bets is with the names.
100%.
Because at the end of the day, people are going to tune in and watch those guys.
And they'll be mic'd up and they're ribbing each other.
Right. No different than we saw with the match. But arguably the match that we saw too, really the ratings and what really came down to who was playing.
Right.
Look at the father and son tournament with Tiger and Charlie. Like, people tuned into that because they were playing.
Right.
Right. It's who's playing at the end of the day.
And I'm curious how indoor golf impact these guys' golf games in a negative way. No,
these
right?
These guys are so good. They don't matter. You can play on anything. They play on these hardwood floors. They'd be fine.
Okay.
It's not going to hurt their game in any way.
And technology is something you got to rely. That's what I say. What is the technology? Like, what if something goes wrong? It doesn't register a shot. You got a stadium. It's, like technology.
There, you're exactly right. I think if it any way affects these guys is that I don't think any of them are putting their name on something unless they know that technology is reliable.
Yeah.
Because the last thing one of these guys want to do is, like, they hit a shot and be like, no, I know my ball flight. That's not even
close.
Yeah. I think the technology has to be rock solid.
Yeah.
So that said, the other thing, speaking of technology, I want to talk about real quick is my fitting. My T-Series.
You had a
fitting.
day, huh?
I had a day.
I'm so bummed I couldn't make it.
So you're going to get fit too.
Yeah.
But you were away on vacation, and I went out to the Titleist fitting event. One thing I'll say is that
how was Weburn?
Weburn's nice.
Yeah.
The country club there.
Yeah, I heard
really
it's
nice.
Big money, private.
Yeah, a fantastic facility to get fit in because you had huge range, grass range, multiple targets out there, short game area, bunker area, everything you needed.
It was so cool. I had never seen this before. They had a bunker that it was a long bunker and it went to the short game area to like the greens.
Yep.
But then you could also line up on the other end of it and hit bunker shots into the range.
Yeah.
Like long bunker shots. It was so cool.
Smart.
Really cool. So in that way, for a fitting, it was perfect. And then this is like, one thing I'll say is that it's hard for me to claim that it's because I've had so many fantastic fittings over the years, but say it's my best fitting yet. And I think it was my best fitting yet.
Wow.
It's a bold claim, but I think it was one of the most detailed we've ever gone through. And what I'll say is that it wasn't in any way that like anything individually wowed me or went nuts. Like, it's the new generation. So I got the T200 irons now, right? So I hit the new generation T200 irons, and I hit them. Everything else the same, shaft, everything. Nothing there was absolutely mind blowing from the TrackMan standpoint.
Right.
The feel was great. The sound was tremendous. Coming from the one T200 to the next, got a little bit more ball speed, a little bit more forgiveness out of them. You could tell they took a great product and fine-tuned it.
Yep.
Where for me, this bigger claim of they being like the best fitting I've had was in the cohesiveness of the entire series. And I don't want to give too much away, but what I'm going to tell you is that I ended up with the most blended set I've ever had. I got a little bit of everything in the bag.
That's awesome.
And what was so cool was all four I hit. T100, T150, T200, T350.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you right now, I could have walked out with a full set of any of them in the bag and been happy. That's how great it was.
Wow.
And I got fit by Andy Inman, who we know well.
Love Andy.
Andy was like, this is the greatest problem to have. You hit every one of these clubs well. Every single one of them was like you could make a case for.
That's great.
Now, some stronger cases than others, right? So what we did was like, well, let's use this to our advantage and fine tune it. And so there were certain spots in my bag, like let's say 8, 9 iron, where with a certain club in that lineup, I was getting more spin, where I want a little bit more spin, attacking greens and stuff like that. Then some of the other clubs, I was getting a lot more forgiveness and height where you need it, thinking long irons, 4 iron, right? So we really got to dial this thing in. Plus,
so wait, where'd you start at? The 3 iron? 4 iron?
So we started in the 7 iron.
No, but your lowest club is 4. They didn't give you a 3.
No.
You're sticking hybrid.
I'm
3
sticking
and 4.
hybrid. No, my lowest lofted iron is gonna be a 4 iron.
So U505 is now gone for you.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a little spoiler alert. 505 came out. They do have a new 505, U505 that I did hit. It's also fantastic, but I found something that for me worked better.
Okay.
But we're also not 100% sure that the 505 is out of the bag just yet.
It may bounce in and out.
Yeah.
Because one thing that's really cool too when you get fit like this is that the old clubs don't immediately become obsolete.
They don't. So this is where I was getting a lot of great knowledge and guidance from Andy, who's a fantastic golfer in himself. Guy played in a major. Yeah.
Played in the Senior Open.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, you keep that U505 and look ahead to the courses you're playing where you have a course where you need a little bit more height, hit the ball higher versus lower and running.
Yep.
Put the U5 take the 4 iron we fit you for out, put the U505 in. So you have some versatility there.
Sure.
But the way that all the clubs went through, the turf was fantastic. One thing, the turf interaction is the one thing to look out for. You'll hear there'll be more and more as the video comes out. And we'll get to really dig into the specifics of it. But what the feel, the forgiveness, and just the turf interaction were the 3 things that were takeaways for me that are fantastic in the lineup. But again, it's the way they work together. Mm-hmm. You could put all the clubs in the bag and they because the last thing you want is to have 1 or 2 clubs that are so different when you pull them out. They give you a different feel, different thinking. You start to swing it differently.
Right.
You could swing all these clubs cohesively together. They all work together. And I was just really impressed with the look and feel of them.
Well, we're all going to be able to relive that moment through that video. So I can't wait.
Which I've got my work to do.
Yeah.
My editing work to do. Because I will say part of it being most detailed fitting I ever had, it was one of the longest.
Yeah.
We were fit for a full 90 minutes, just dialing, trying everything.
Wow.
So rather than putting out an hour and a half long video on YouTube, I've got to creatively, cut this thing down and maybe cut out some of the extra moments and stuff like that. But
okay.
To make it a little bit more palatable so people aren't watching it for an hour and a half. But I could, it's almost like, as funny as it sounds, I can almost put the video out the full hour and a half and it would be enjoyable just because I just felt like I was learning so much, as we always do, listening to Andy and like just talking about how to, in general, different spots, how like a club might allow you to hit it higher, but doesn't mean it's taking the low shot away from you. We hit the low shot, we hit the high shot, we hit everything.
Right.
And
that's
it felt
great.
So good. And coming into it too, believe it or not, it's been 2 years since I got fit for irons last. That was that hot day 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We changed too.
Mm-hmm.
I told him I've been working crazy in the simulator. Like my game's changed, my swing has changed. And I talked to him about how my path is a little more inside out. And sometimes I fat him or like sometimes I'll turn the ball over too much. We talked about how instead of a nice draw that just falls to the left, sometimes it's a little bit hooky. We ended up doing a different loft, a different lie throughout the bag. Bent every club.
Wow.
2 degrees.
Frankie Lofson lies.
So we got a 2 degree bend on everything.
Wow.
So that's where, like I said, the clubs are awesome. They're fantastic. You could see where the improvements came in. But really, for me, it just proves once again the worth its weight in gold is the fitting. So
Frank,
you've heard us harp on it, but go get fit.
Coming to a tour near you soon. This guy. I can't wait to see him. I can't wait to
Sure
see you
felt
play him.
like it with those clubs.
I bet. And I'm going to try to get out there and get my fitting as well soon. So I cannot wait.
Definitely want to get
Yep.
fit. So, well, guys, we'll keep you posted. We'll update you on that, and as well as, like I said, our upcoming tournament. But as I said at the top of the show, get registered. I don't want you guys missing out on this. Anybody who wants to play, register really early. Go to golficity.com/register. Grab your spot. And one thing I will ask is that if you do register, really try to make it, because it might be taking somebody's spot. So just make sure you're serious about the calendar, getting it, make sure to get registered. We understand things happen. Maybe we'll get alternates. We'll see. But get registered, and we're excited. This is going to be a really fun event. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you guys next week.